What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. May have a few others join us here shortly. We'll see how that goes. But here to talk some Packers this evening, guys. We're going to jump into several topics. Top 5 underpaid Packers on the roster right now. Really excited about having that conversation. We're going to talk a little Savion Williams and how I think he may fit into that Christian Watson role, at least half of that Christian Watson role. And we'll explain what we mean by that. And then if we have time, we're going to do the Savion Williams chalk talk, where we're going to break down his tape and kind of show you firsthand, hey, here's how he could do what we just talked about him doing in the article. So hopefully we can give you a little visualization of how we see that. But if it's your first time tuning in here at PTA, just want to say welcome. Appreciate you making us a part of your evening. Feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And listen, we're not experts. We're not insiders. We don't claim to be. We're just here, Packer fans, just like you, talking Packers, breaking it all down. We go live pretty much daily. We do pregame, postgame shows during the season. We do film breakdown, which you should see a good little chunk of tonight. We break news, all of that stuff. We don't break news. When breaking news hits, we go live and give you the details, all that good stuff. So it's just kind of your one-stop shop in terms of Packer content on the daily. Tim, Jacob, how we doing, gents?
Happy to be here. I see the beard sliding in a little late, but it's all good.
Here's a guy.
I had a busy day. It's hot, and I'm very hairy, as you can see. And it just doesn't mix well, you know. It's tough.
That's how you start to show off strong.
Heard it from a fan right here.
All right, let's jump into the first topic of the night here, gang. And I see everybody in the chat. Thank you all for making us a part of your evening. Hit that like on the way in. And, if you're new here, feel free to sub to the channel. I thought this would be interesting to dive into the top 5 most underpaid Packers players right now on the roster and kind of show a little bit of extra appreciation for these guys that are on the roster. The Green Bay Packers are getting away with robbery. While you hear about massive quarterback contracts, a real secret to their success is players delivering Pro Bowl level performances for a fraction of the cost. This is about getting insane impact for minimal cap space, giving the team a huge competitive advantage. Today, we're calling out the 5 biggest bargains on the Packers payroll, the players whose agents should be demanding a new deal tomorrow. We hope that doesn't happen, by the way, but let's get into it. I want to say this right off the bat. Josh Jacobs could have made this list for the production he had, in my opinion. Xavier McKinney, although on the surface it looks like he's a very, very high-paid safety for his production, he could have made the list. There's several. Romeo Doubs is one that reached that Tier 1 performance bonus or whatever it was called that jumped to $3 million, even at $3 million. And the fact that he made less than $2 million the first 3 years in the league, he could have made this list as well. There's just a multitude of players that could have made this list. You guys got any thoughts, any comments before we dive into the 5 players that I put together on this list?
Tip your cap to Goody. That's a big reason why we're quote unquote stealing right now with the level of talent that we have versus the payroll that we have. So big props to our GM for sure.
Yeah, I'd say also, shout out to Ed Policy. I see that in the chat too, because I'm sure he had his hands in there a little bit with the contracts and all that sort of stuff. And, as much criticism and grief as the front office of Green Bay has received over the last 10 years and plus, they do things the right way. Each year, I think it's Ryan's talked about it multiple times. The teams go out and they just, I almost said a real bad word. They release a lot of money in a way of such to quote unquote go all in, right? And then what happens is probably 95% of the time that situation, that choice backfires immensely to the point where they're playing recovery for the next 3 to 5 years, at least 2 to 3 years, depending on the market, the cap, all the stuff that they have dealing with themselves. I don't remember, but maybe one year that the Packers were it felt like we weren't contenders. You know what I mean? And that was a year, I believe, probably Aaron's worst year. It wasn't that year. I believe we went had 4 wins or whatever it was. Exactly, Aaron. I don't ever remember not having at least actual positivity and hope for this team, which I think, a lot of the times it's hopium, but I sincerely think that the Packers front office for the last 30 years has put us in a position to at least compete every single year. And that's all you can ask for.
Right. And again, in this picture right here, it was kind of a little bit of clickbait, to be honest with you. I put Russ Ball in there, who handles the contracts, right? And of course, Ed Policy, who's going to be now stepping into that new president/CEO role for the Green Bay Packers. But the reality is, all 5 of these players on this list, in my opinion, the 5 most underpaid players, were draft picks. Yep. So the structure of those contracts are already in place. Tim knocked it out of the freaking park when he said, thank Brian Gutekunst, because I'm telling you, the reason these 5 players are on the roster is because he drafted them. And it's the same exact reason that their contract is so minimal. And you guys tell me if you agree with this list when we get done here. We'll hit them one at a time. But number 5 on the list is safety Evan Williams. Kicking off at number 5 is a key piece of the Packers' revamped defense. Rookie safety, of course, 2 years ago. Evan Williams, in a league where top safeties are getting paid like star cornerbacks, Williams represents incredible value as a 2024 fourth-round pick. He signed a 4-year deal worth just over $4.8 million. His 2025 base salary is a mere $960,000. For comparison, top safeties like Antoine Winfield Jr. and the Packers' own Xavier McKinney command over $16 million per year on average. Again, average annual value. For that price, the Packers get a player who earned a starting role and was even named to the PFWA All-Rookie team. Williams has been lauded for his intelligence, instincts, and sound tackling. He stepped up to start alongside Xavier McKinney, proven to be a reliable force in the secondary, getting a starting caliber safety who plays a crucial role in Jeff Hafley's new defensive scheme for under $1.2 million in cap hit is an absolute steal that provides massive financial flexibility. When you look at the details of the contract here, guys, we are going into year 2 of his contract. The base salary, $960K, the signing bonus of $200,000, which brings the cap hit for this year up to $1.1 million. Only $1.1 million. If you break that down, Tim, over the entirety of the roster and the salary cap allocation, he basically accounts for 0.42% of the salary cap this year. Absolutely wild that this guy made pretty much the PFF all-rookie team. And we did a chalk talk on him the other day. Everybody was just like, dang, we got us a dog here to play alongside Xavier McKinney. Pennies on the dollar, Tim. What do you think? Yeah. He's worthy of making the list?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You said 0.42%? Is that what you said?
Right.
Well, while also attributing for 42% of our defense on the back end, probably, or something crazy like that. I mean, I think we all had high hopes for him. We were excited on draft day when we got him. But I don't think any of us really thought he was going to have the type of year that he had last year as a rookie. So again, tip your cap to our GM, and, hopefully he balls out, takes another step this year. And, 1 year from now, we're talking about lock this guy up now, restructure him, whatever it takes to keep him around for the long haul. But right now, all signs point to Evan Williams being a massive, massive draft pick from Goody for sure.
Yeah. And Ed Madden says in the chat here, Jacob gets to learn from X. The fact that he's going to be playing alongside Xavier McKinney this entire time is absolutely wild. What do you think about Evan Williams coming in at number 5 on this list?
Yeah, I think it's like Tim said, it's going to be maybe one of Goody's best draft picks. Just the longevity I see in Evan Williams' career, just because we mentioned it in previous episodes that when a guy walks into the league and has a decent 60s grade in that PFF, it's generally a good indicator of how his career is going to go. And to mimic what Tim said, I don't think that any of us really gave him his flowers when we had that draft of 3 safeties. Definitely, yeah. And you guys know, again, I was still love Bullard. I want him to succeed. I loved Ketan Oladapo. We had the theme song. Everything was, it was just Evan Williams sneaking in as the dark horse there, and just really surprising. I memean, completely surprising me. Surpassing. Don't you do it? Surpassing any. Yeah, I don't think we reiterate it enough how drastic that safety room changed from 1 year. We had Miss Simone Biles as our starter with another guy I can't even remember anymore. And to have a room of 4 or 5 dudes that I think could be starters on pretty much most teams is pretty insane.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move it along. Number 4 on the list, Jaden Reed, wide receiver All right. And number 4 is the electric Swiss Army knife of the Packers offense, Jayden Reed. He's the explosive playmaker who can score from anywhere. As a second-round pick, his value is off the charts due to his rookie contract. Reed signed a 4-year, $7 million deal, averaging just under $1.8 million a year. His cap hit this season is a tiny $1.9 million, making him the 102nd highest paid receiver. He's a top 2 weapon on this offense, paid like a 4th or 5th receiver. Reed's value is his versatility. He isn't just a slot guy. He lines up outside, takes jet sweeps, and is a threat in the return game. As one of Jordan Love's favorite targets, he creates separation and makes things happen after the catch, making him a mismatch nightmare. Getting that dynamic firepower for under $2 million a year is unheard of. He's a chess piece for Matt LaFleur without the massive price tag. We'll start with you this time, Jacob. We got Jayden Reed coming in as the 102nd highest paid receiver. Finished the year with the highest passer rating when targeted of any wide receiver in the league. There was only 1 or 2 players above him that were tight ends outside of the receiver realm. When you look at the way his contract lays out, he's in his next to last year on his deal, right? Cap hit $1.9 million. That's 0.70%. A cap percentage, a percentage of the Packers salary cap this year. And then next year's the final year on his deal where he'll jump to $2.2 million against the cap with a base salary of $1.7 next year. What do you think about Jayden Reed coming in here at number 4?
Yeah, I mean, what more could you ask from a guy like Jayden Reed to come in, and that value is just insane. The 102nd lowest paid player. I mean, that's, I guess you could say highest paid. It's one, it's a testament to him coming in and just kind of keeping his head down and grinding in a wide receiver room that is very deep, where, you know, if he didn't come in and have some of the type of games, you know, the type of seasons that he's had already, it would have been easy to kind of write him off. And that Swiss Army knife label, I think it's maybe thrown around a little too haphazardly in the NFL, but Jayden Reed is that guy. Like, you see him move from X to Z to the slot, him doing end arounds, him willing to return kicks, which, again, I don't want to see, but I just think that the type of player that he is, there we go, right here. Ed Madden saying, you know, and Reed wasn't the quote unquote Packers type going into the draft. You know, that was the drafting of Jayden Reed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Clayton, basically had us and you rethink the whole way that we do scouting as far as our draft process, just because we really felt like we missed that, those indicators that he would be a stud for our organization. So me being the president fan club of the, I am a cheap, you know what, cheapskate, I think that he is absolutely the best bang for the buck right now at the wide receiver position.
Tim, he's led the Packers in receiving the last 2 years, his first 2 years in the league, and this year coming up, 0.70% of the salary cap. When you got receivers that are literally making 20+ million per, man, it's absolutely wild.
Yeah, and rookies getting guaranteed contracts, right? Like, what are you gonna do? It's a crazy new world out here, and I'm just happy that we locked Bird in when we did. Like Jacob was saying, like, didn't seem on the surface like a Packers type. Clearly, Goody and the scouting department had their eyes peeled, and they saw the talent that they had, and they brought him in. And I think Bird is going to take a huge step right here in year 3 as well. If anything, you know, again, a year removed from where we are now, we could be having, you know, really difficult conversations about, you know, which of this handful and crop of second and third year guys are we going to really pay long term. And I think the 2025 season is going to be a really good indicator of that. So I look to Bird to step up this year and get even more value, you know, out of this deal that Goody was able to, you know, lock him into as a rookie. So I'm just happy that he's here, and he ain't going to be cheap for very long, right? We know that.
That's exactly right. He's going to get a contract. He's done everything right. He's a Packer type of player. He's a team first guy. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to pay him, and, you know, how much will it be? We'll see. But also with Jayden Reed, don't be surprised if they look at other options in terms of trying to get him extended. You know, I don't think they'll try to do it this year. It'll be going into next year when that contract happens. Probably one of those guys, just like Zach Tom this year. We're talking about him getting a contract done before the end of training camp. We'll be having the same conversation about Jayden Reed next season, I guarantee it. So number 3 on the list, Edgerrin Cooper. Coming in at number 3 is the new centerpiece of the defense, rookie linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, as the 45th pick in the 2024 draft. Cooper is on a 4-year contract, rookie contract, worth about $8.6 million total. His cap hit for the 2025 is less than $2 million. That's pennies for a player expected to be a week 1 starter at a premium defensive position. Top inside linebackers like Roquan Smith command $20 million per year. The Packers are getting a player with all-pro talent and sideline-to-sideline speed for a sliver of that cost. Cooper was brought in to be athletic, playmaking hub in the middle of Jeff Hafley's new defense, a role that Green Bay has needed for years. Getting an immediate high-impact starter at linebacker on a second-year rookie deal is an incredible bargain that gives the front office major financial flexibility. When you look at this deal, guys, he's accounting for 0.70% of the salary cap, with a $1.9 million cap hit. Unbelievable that we got him under contract for this year, plus 2 more, when the dude graded out an 85 on PFF, and some are saying he's going to be a top 5 linebacker this year. What do you think? Since it looks like Tim stepped away for a second. Jacob, what do you think about Edgerrin Cooper being on this list at number 3, man?
I mean, you got to know what I think. Like you said, 85. I forget that's how he graded that rookie year. 85 and PFF. That gives all the indications that we got ourselves. I don't want to get. I hate saying that we got a future Hall of Famer because it's just way too early. But all the indicators, all the green flags are showing us that Edgerrin Cooper is an absolute stud, and for him to be, again, less than $2 million. I mean, if he ends up being what I think he could be, what I think we all think he could be, which is an actual legitimate top 10 linebacker in the NFL. I mean, for him to be less than $2 million, it's insane. It's just absolutely insane. Also, it gives us time to bolster that defense around him. We give us 1 more year to figure out, is Quay a guy? If he's not, we figure out who else we're going to stack up next to Coop, and we start that whole process over. And if Goody hits again, all of a sudden, we are just, I mean, it's clean living, boys, clean living. It's the reason why we don't make stupid, dumb decisions that half the fan base, and I'll admit that I'm sometimes in one of them, that wants us to do something drastic and make a splash signing or something like that. But this is why we don't. Yeah.
Tim, Edgerrin Cooper, man, coming in number 3 on the list. What do you think?
I'll tell you what. You want to know what I think? I think I'm extremely grateful for the autographed Edgerrin Cooper rookie card that we received from Mr. Rick in the chat, donating the card to all of us. Yeah. Guys, hang on to it. Keep it out of the sunlight. Keep it in a nice, cool, dry place, because it could be worth some change in a few years.
Like Daryl's basement. Keep it in Daryl's basement.
I don't know about that, man. You don't want it to be drenched and never mind. I'm afraid to say blood on YouTube because it may flag that word, but when I've got to specify now, that's what I meant, and not other fluids. But anyway, Edgerrin Cooper.
Wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
Thank you there, Tay. Yeah, Edgerrin Cooper is one, man, and I think it's awesome too. Tier 2 of importance, right? I want him to be the centerpiece of this defense, right? I want Quay to pan out as well. I really, really do. But man, Edgerrin Cooper is that dude. Put him right in the middle of this defense. And again, Mike and Will, that gets tossed around a lot as if they're not interchangeable. We know they are in the nickel 4-2-5 that we run. But man, oh man, put him in the middle of this defense. Keep him in the middle of this defense. It was so cool to see his snap count go up as the year went on last year for sure. Moving along, number 2. Let's just quick recap. First of all, let's say this. Safety, Evan Williams, tier 2 position. Right, wide receiver. You guys know I don't put it as high on the list as most people do. Edgerrin Cooper, the number 3 cheapest player, tier 2 at that middle linebacker position. Right now we're getting into tier 1. Number 2 on the list, Rasheed Walker, left tackle. At number 2 is a player with staggering value, starting left tackle Rasheed Walker, a former 7th round pick. I repeat, Goody found him in the 7th round. He's locked down one of the most important jobs in football. Teams burn top 10 picks and pay millions for a quality left tackle. Actually, tens of millions, I should say. The Packers found theirs with the 249th pick in 2022. Because he was drafted so late, Walker is so is on an unbelievably cheap rookie contract protecting Jordan Love's blind side. Top left tackles make over $25 million a year. Walker gives the Packers starting caliber play for a tiny fraction of that. He earned the spot after stepping in for David Bakhtiari, starting every game last season and becoming a reliable pass protector. Pro Football Focus gave him a strong 79.6 pass blocking grade, ranking 21st among tackles after he allowed only 3 sacks and over 560 pass blocking snaps. That's high-level play. Getting dependable left tackle play from a 7th rounder isn't just a bargain. It's a franchise-altering advantage. And again, this year, let's go over the recap of his contract. Starting in 2022, the cap hit was $725,000. Then it jumped to $890,000. Then it jumped to $1 million flat. And now this year, he's going to leapfrog to $3.4 million. And the reason being, as you can see right here, if you can see my cursor, 2025 proven performance escalator available. He got the first tier proven performance escalator, Tim, which basically it's just like Romeo Dobbs got. If you perform at such a level that you land into that first tier, you're going to make significantly more money than your rookie contract called for. That's something that the Players Association put into the CBA. That was one of the things that they really wanted to bargain on, and they got that put into the collective bargaining agreement. But what do you think about Rasheed Walker here coming in at number 2? He might not be here long, man. I don't know. We'll see. We've definitely got our money out of him so far, that's for sure.
I was just going to say it makes perfect sense that Sheed wants to get paid, and he deserves it. I mean, you talk about, going back to 2023, right? D-Bach trying to make his way back. We got, 1 game out of him that year, and we had a young Sheed Walker step up and really play some damn good football for us, protecting QB1's blind side. So I think he's earned it. I think it's kind of proof in the pudding right here. If you hit certain thresholds as a first and second year player, and you kind of show your worth, you're going to get a big contract, and it's either going to be with the team that drafted you or it's going to be somewhere else. And I think that's kind of where we're at with Sheed right now, trying to figure out left tackle. So we'll see how this pans out. But certainly for the time being, it's an absolute steal for the production we're getting out of him.
Yeah, Clint, the armchair quarterback, says Goot gets better each year. I'm going to tell you this, man. He is crushed on 4th-round picks 2 of the last 3 years. I think one of those years we didn't even have a 4th-round pick. Gives me a lot of hope for Baron Sorrell. We got an article and a deep dive coming up on him probably as early as tomorrow. I'm excited about diving into that. But Jacob, as someone else said in here, Ed Madden said Sheed is always available too, man. The number one ability in the National Football League is availability. You can be the best football player on the face of the planet, but if you, as we always say, you can't make the club in the tub. If you're not healthy, if you can't go out there and perform, it don't make a hill of beans, man.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I've been on the Rasheed Walker bandwagon since the minute we signed him, and if anything, I'm a little bit upset just the fact that they're not willing to. I hate saying pay the man, but I feel like he deserves a little more respect. And if there was a way to maybe try to get a deal where it was a sweetheart deal for the team, I would love to keep him.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jacob, you're cutting out a little bit there, man. But we got the gist of it there for sure. So Chris the Casual in the chat says Sheed deserves a deal with all the money saved at wide receiver. I want to agree with that too, Chris. I do. But at the same time, we can't pay everybody, right? There's going to come a point where you've got to say no to somebody. And when you look at the structure, and we've talked about this over and over and over, and I'm sure many of you disagree with my take here. It's not that I agree with Goody or I agree with, how the front office has handled offensive lineman contracts in the past. It's just the reality of the situation that they've got this blueprint they follow. And typically they don't pay more than 2 offensive linemen top money, right? Now, as we talked about before, there's a chance that Aaron Banks just plays here for 2 years. You get out of that contract. So is it worth it to kind of bleed a little cash for 1 year as Rasheed Walker? Let's say you give Rasheed Walker an extension along with Zach Tom, okay? Well, now you got Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, and Aaron Banks making big money. But in 2 years, you can get out of the Aaron Banks contract. Now it's just Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom, right? Elton Jenkins making big money this year. He's wanting more money, it sounds like. We'll see if he gets that before camp finishes out. However, I see Elton Jenkins being gone in a year or two, Tim. So that's going to go off the books there, right?
Yep.
So we'll see exactly what happens with these other two cats. Again, for the right price, I'd be all about bringing Rasheed Walker back. I'm just trying to curb the enthusiasm or the hype around that, I should say, because it's highly unlikely they're going to pay Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Zach Tom, and Elton Jenkins for offensive lineman top money. Now, the league's constantly changing too, but we'll see how it goes.
That's why Jordan Morgan is the X factor, right? Is he going to make a run at that left tackle spot, or is he going to compete for right guard? You know, we've talked about this a few times. It might make the decision-making process a little bit easier based on how training camp and the preseason kind of shapes up this year.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, and moving on to number one on the list, surprise, surprise, another tier one position of importance, Zach Tom, right tackle. And now for the number one most underpaid Packer, it's not even a debate. Right tackle Zach Tom, who has quietly become one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. His is one of the biggest bargains in pro football. 2022 fourth-round pick. Tom's 4-year deal is worth about $4.16 million total, with a 2025 base salary of just $3.4 million because of the proven performance escalators. Another fourth-round pick, or another draft pick, I should say, getting that escalator. That's insane when top right tackles like Penei Sewell and Tristan Wirfs average $28 million a year. Tom provides the same level of play for 3 to 4% of the costs. His contract ranks 68th among right tackles, but his performance is easily top 10. Tom is the definition of consistency, starting every game and showing versatility. Pro Football Focus graded him as one of the very best tackles last season, an elite pass protector, and a beast in the run game. He is an all-pro caliber player. For now, the Packers are getting cornerstone tackle play for the price of a backup. Zach Tom isn't just the most underpaid Packer. He might be the most underpaid non-quarterback in the entire National Football League. So when it comes to Zach Tom's contract, again, final year of the deal, he gets the escalator, $3.5 million, but go back to the previous 3 years, starting in 2022, $831,000, $996,000, $1.1 million were what he cost us on the cap. Pay that man his money. He has been a steal this entire time. This is the dude I want to give the bag to. Would love to have Rasheed Walker back too, but if I have to choose between the two, it's not even close. Give me Zach Tom. So, Tim, you got anything to add to Zach Tom on this list before we wrap this segment up, man?
Yeah, 100% co-signing that statement. I don't care who it is. If there's one guy you're going to cut the check for, it's the best offensive lineman on your team, and that's Zach Tom for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, so there it is. That is your top 5 most underpaid Green Bay Packers on the roster here in 2025. So what do you think? Is Zach Tom the biggest bargain in the NFL? Who's on your list? Let us know in the comments. If you're watching this video later, hit like, hit subscribe if you like this kind of content, but let us know in the comments what you think about that list right there. All right, let's move it along here. I think we got Jacob trying to get back in. And this isn't nothing on Jacob's end either. This is strictly StreamYard. It's showing, Tim, is it not showing our connection just bouncing around like crazy right now, dude?
Yeah, all over. Yep.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. So again,
the beard sideways. Uh-oh.
Look at this. This guy's in the drink, I believe here. Let's take it until he gets it squared away here. We don't want to embarrass him too bad there. We'll be looking at his nose hair. You know what I'm saying, Tim? So
he's got nose hair all over his face, man. The beard just keeps coming, right?
Too old for this is Jacob working the angles. So like it. I love it. All right, man. So let's move along to a little Savion Williams talk. This article is a little long-winded. I'm going to pause in between, Tim, and get your take as we go through here. But this was a fun little put together, man. I threw this all together because with Christian Watson being out until November, right? Oh Lord, he thought he was.
Yeah, I took it off.
He thought he was face
with the one-liner of the night for sure.
Always, man, always. So Savion Williams, right? Everybody's calling him the next Deebo Samuel. That was the big scouting comp. Tim, you remember when we first drafted him? It was all over the interwebs. This is going to be Deebo Samuel, right? I put in this article, and I kind of took a little bit different approach. I said Savion Williams, the next Deebo Samuel, or Christian Watson Bridge. Listen, there are a lot of similarities between Savion Williams and a young Deebo Samuel. There's no two ways about it. But
We're
I'm
not
going to take
talking
some
about
comments.
direct player-to-player comp, though, right? We're talking about the style of play, right? We're not saying he's Debo. We're saying he's that type of dude, right?
Similar traits, I would think.
Yeah, similar traits. There you go.
He runs with power. He can catch the football. It's not his strength. It's more that ball in his hands is where he does the most damage in terms of that. But
yards after the catch. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Let's dive into it here. Again, I'm going to try to pause in between because it is a little wordy, but I think there's some really good information in here. Just doing a deep dive. I went back and watched tape of Savion, and I watched tape of Christian here from last year before he, obviously got the knee injury, and just wanted to kind of see, okay, where do the similarities line up? All right. And we'll kind of talk about how that falls into place. We're going to start with Debo, though. Here we go. But Christian Watson recovering from a torn ACL that's expected to keep him sidelined deep into the 25 season. The Green Bay Packers have a huge question mark at wide receiver. That injury leaves a massive void in the offense. But what if the answer is already on the roster? And what if the answer doesn't just replace a player, but evolves the entire offense? In the third round of the 25 draft, the Packers didn't just draft a wide receiver. They drafted a unicorn, a player with a skill set so unique he's drawing direct comparisons to one of the most dynamic weapons in the game, Deebo Samuel. Today, we're breaking down the tape to see exactly how Matt LaFleur can and will use Savion Williams in that hybrid role. This isn't just about plugging a hole. It's about creating mismatches, manufacturing touches, and building a more lethal, unpredictable offense around Jordan Love. We'll look at his raw power, his shocking agility, and how he can become the new favorite weapon in Green Bay. So keep in mind, when I was writing this article and putting this together, I just watched the tape. Okay, so when we're talking about film breakdown, we'll get to that here in a second toward the end of the show. The Deebo Samuel blueprint. So this kind of answers your question here, Tim. So what does the Deebo Samuel role actually mean? It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but it's more than just a receiver who can take a handoff. And Matt LaFleur's offense, an offense born from the Shanahan coaching tree, it's a philosophy. It's all about creating chaos for the defense before the snap. It's about using one guy to completely blur the lines between receiver and running back, forces defenses into decisions where there's no right answer. Mainly in personnel matching and mismatching is what we're talking about here, guys. LaFleur's whole system is built on making every play look the same at the start. He loves pre-snap motion, top formations, a.k.a. nasty splits, and, of course, play action. A guy like Deebo lets you motion a receiver into the backfield, and suddenly he's a real threat to run the ball. Does the defense stick with a smaller cornerback on him, or do they swap in a bigger, maybe slower linebacker? No matter what they choose, they've just created a mismatch somewhere else. This offense craves players who don't have a fixed position. They're the chess pieces that unlock the entire board. And when you look at Savion Williams, it's like he was built in a lab to play that exact role for Matt LaFleur. Does that make sense, Tim, in terms of what we're talking about with Deebo, man? Because when you put him in the backfield and you came out 11 personnel, you put him in the backfield, and now the defense has to decide, do we put our nickel corner in there to cover him in the box, or do we let a backer slide over there to it? Next thing you know, they're running a post route out of the backfield, which we'll show on the tape here in a second, and they hit you for 6. But does that all kind of connect the dots there?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? Because you're making that defense have to respect, that player. And either way it goes, you have an opportunity to win the matchup, win the hat count, or win the play. And it's a down-to-down league, right? We talk about each rep, So I think it does. That comparison in that sense is absolutely spot on. And, it's the Deebo type, right? Tape doesn't lie. And I would agree with that. We talked about that a little bit, I believe last night or the night before when we were talking about, being able to be in a, quote unquote 12 personnel set without really having 2 tight ends on the field, because you can utilize a guy like Savion in that respect. So I would totally agree.
Definitely. All right. The college tape doesn't lie. This Deebo comparison isn't just wishful thinking based on Williams' size and speed. It's all over his TCU tape. This isn't a role we hope he can transition to. It's a role he's already played at an insanely high level. In 24, Savion Williams was one of the only 2 players in all of FBS football to have at least 6 rushing touchdowns and 6 receiving touchdowns. He put up 60 catches for 611 yards and 6 scores through the air, then added 51 carries for 322 yards and another 6 touchdowns on the ground. Those aren't just gadget play numbers. That's a legitimate dual threat weapon who was a core piece of both their passing and rushing attack. And TCU didn't TCU didn't just use him on a few jet sweeps. They lined him up in the backfield for direct snaps. They ran him right between the tackles. They trusted him in short yardage. He was, for all intents and purposes, their part-time running back who also just happened to be their leading receiver. That kind of experience is priceless. He isn't learning a new position. He's just bringing a proven skill set to a playbook that's practically built to maximize it. I'm not 100% sure he was the leading receiver at TCU because they had Jack Besh, and I want to say there was another receiver as well, but obviously putting up really, really good numbers down there at TCU as a receiver. So that's just kind of a little glimpse into some of the stats that he recorded while he was in college. Look at that shot right there, him leapfrogging. I think that's a Texas player, Texas Longhorn. Dude's just versatile as all get out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll see in the next few weeks how he's looking at camp, right? Hopefully that shoulder issue is a non-issue going into his pro career. I know we saw him with the sleeve on during minicamp and things like that. So hopefully he's pretty much healthy as a rookie, and he could definitely be poised for an absolute breakout season as a rookie.
Now let's talk about the power component to his game. The first thing that just explodes off the screen when you watch Williams is the pure raw power. This is the foundation of the Debo comparison. It's that ability to turn a simple 5-yard catch into a 15-yard soul-crushing gain. On a simple shallow cross, a staple of the Packers offense, he gets the ball quickly and has a DB squaring him up. For most receivers, that's a 5, maybe 6-yard gain, and that's it. But when you watch Williams, there's no dancing, no hesitation. He just lowers his shoulders and runs straight through the tackle, dragging him for another 10 yards. And this isn't a one-off play. His college film is full of these moments. He just consistently breaks arm tackles and makes 2 or 3 guys bring him down. That physical punishing style just wears a defense down. Cornerbacks who are used to tackling shifty receivers now have to line up against a 6'4", 222-pound battering ram all game. That toll adds up. What have we talked about with Jair Alexander, right? Imagine somebody like Jair who's had a history with the shoulder, a history with injuries, getting a little bit older. He's as quick as he's ever been. He can cover just about as good as he ever has. But boy, oh boy, he doesn't want to tackle a player that's 6'4", 222 pounds. I loved Jair when he was a Packer, but when we play the Baltimore Ravens, I would love to see Savion and him in space together on a little bubble screen. And let's watch Jair try to tackle this absolute monster. That would be awesome. By the fourth quarter, you start seeing bad angles and business decisions, and that's when those little 5-yard passes turn into game-breaking plays. It's no wonder Packers OC Adam Sinovich is already fired up, saying you can, quote, come up with a zillion different ways to use him. It all starts with what he does after the catch. Yak is the name of the game in the passing game for Savion, although there's a little bit of contested catch game there as well, Tim. What do you think about the power aspect of this game?
Yeah, I think it's so true. I mean, I don't care what your size and stature is as a corner in the NFL. I don't think any of these guys want to go heads up with a big body receiver, right? And you talk about Savion's athleticism. I mean, if you're a DB and you're going to try and shoot low and wrap up the ankle and make ankle tackles all day and not lower the boom, a guy like Savion Williams is going to make you look stupid. He's going to hurdle you. He's going to juke you, spin move, and he's out of there. Or he's just simply going to run right through your ankle tackle. So you got to play big boy football against a guy like that. So definitely a multifaceted threat for our offense, and I love it.
Yeah, Chris in the chat says Savion and Josh J. Talking about Josh Jacobs back-to-back touches against Ja with the shocked emoji. Love it, man. AFAM in the chat says, could he be used for the tush push? That's a great idea, AFAM. They caught on. I say they caught on, but it was 100% successful. We would motion Tucker Kraft over like he's motioned across the formation, jump under center real quick, take the snap, and sneak it, right? Now imagine keeping Tucker Kraft stabilized, right? Just, hey, you stay attached at the wire, flex, whatever you're doing. And now you bring somebody like Savion over, take the snap. He was a quarterback in high school. He was recruited partially as a quarterback coming out of high school. And, of course, he settled in at wide receiver and played some Wildcat reps down there at TCU as well. I love what you're saying there, Ethan. Yeah. I think that's absolutely awesome, man.
And the fact that he might not even need a push, right? You could just run him in there and he'll just find his way into the end zone.
Yeah, very true. Film breakdown, the backfield threat. Let's talk about him being a running back now. Okay. All right. Now, for the most exciting part of his game, what he can do as a legitimate weapon out of the backfield. This is what takes him from being just a big physical receiver to a true game wrecker. TCU motion from out wide into the backfield right next to the quarterback. The defense is immediately pointing and yelling, totally confused. The linebacker that had him in coverage is now completely lost. The ball is snapped. It's a direct handoff, and Williams shows a surprising burst through the hole and the vision to find a cutback lane. This is the exact kind of stress Matt LaFleur wants to put on the defense. In 2024, Matt LaFleur used Jaden Reed in this role, but by season's end, he was pretty banged up with an ankle and a shoulder injury, forcing LaFleur to limit his touches in both the running game and the passing game. When Williams is in the backfield next to Josh Jacobs, what does a coordinator do? Treat it like a two-back set? If they do, that leaves one of Green Bay's other receivers in a one-on-one matchup. If they don't, they risk getting gashed by Williams on a simple run play. It also unlocks a whole new level of play action. Imagine Williams getting a fake handoff and then leaking out into the flat or for a pass. The linebacker has to respect the run, which leaves Williams wide open for an easy completion. This is exactly how teams like the 49ers and Rams manufacture easy yards for their quarterbacks. It's not always about complex routes. It's about creating the mismatch before the ball is even snapped. Now, does he not look good in a Packer helmet, man? Look at my guy right here. And again, wearing the shoulder harness. Again, very physical runner. He's had some shoulder injuries, so we got to make sure we monitor that as well. But does that make sense, Tim, about taking some of the wear and tear off of Jaden Reed and allow Savion to absorb a little bit of that? Because, again, we're talking about replacing Christian Watson until November, right? So now you got a guy that can take a little more of that role away from Jaden Reed, and you can put Jaden Reed out in the Z when you're in your normal, 12 personnel.
Yeah.
If you just want to go with 12 personnel, Jaden Reed can play the Z. And then you can let Romeo Dobbs and Matthew Golden fight it out for X. Now you got Savion who can take some of those reps.
Absolutely. We kind of touched on that last night, right? We were talking about Savion and Matthew Golden here. As rookies, how much do you want to put on their plate? How much do you want to ask, a talented, dynamic rookie receiver to do in your offense? I think the answer is what you just touched on. Maybe you free up Jaden Reed, who's established, who's been here, who, like we said, we need to get out of the return room and utilize him more as a dynamic receiver, and then maybe ask, a guy like Savion Williams to do some of these other things. And I think he can find success as a rookie too. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that I think both of our rookie wideouts are going to hit this year, and we're going to be in a pretty good position come week one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the opportunity. This is how he fits in right now in Green Bay, okay? This isn't just a fun what if for the future. This is about an immediate pressing need. Christian Watson's ACL injury was a huge blow, and his return timeline for 2025 is a major question mark. While the Packers did draft Matthew Golden in the first round, Golden is more of your traditional deep threat, a speedster expected to fill that vertical Z role and possibly at X. That leaves the hybrid manufactured touch role, the exact role Watson was asked to do lining up in the wing, completely up for grabs. Savion Williams doesn't have to wait in line. He walks into a situation where the coaches need a player with his exact skill set from day one. He's the perfect puzzle piece to fill that specific void. And again, right here's a good visualization. When we talk about him playing wing, notice the top image, Christian Watson playing the wing. This was from last year, guys. This was last year's tape, okay? Matter of fact, I think this was week 1 right here in Brazil. So you see Christian Watson in the wing, right? Now, look at Savion down here in the wing. Does that look familiar, right? So you can utilize him right out of the gate. Any of these formations that you wanted to use Christian Watson in the wing set, you can go ahead and put Savion there. That's something that you don't want Jaden Reed in because he's not big enough to chip if you need him to, or get in there and dig out a backer if you decide to check to a run. That's where I think Savion is very, very valuable, right? Expect to see him on the field right away in special packages. LaFleur will likely script a handful of plays for him every single game just to get the ball in his hands fast. We're talking jet sweeps, bubble screens, and lining up in the backfield or as a wingback, especially in the red zone on short yardage downs. He brings a physical element that perfectly complements the speed of Golden and the route running of Jaden Reed. And Tim, when you look at the PFF grades here, man, he's one of these players that was ascending coming into the league, right? Starting in 2020 at 58. Then he goes to a 60, falls back to a 58. Then in 2023, a 72. And then his final year in college, he scored his highest grade, according to PFF, at a 78.5. 70.9. And again, the receiving grade, pretty damn good, 70.2. But look at the running grade, 90.5 elite running game. Guys, this isn't just hype. And again, as a rookie coming in, someone who's going to play the F, you're like, hey, man, he's got to learn the choice routes. There's going to be a big learning curve there, right? But if they script a handful of packages like we're talking about, what he did best in college, he's ready to do. You just take the freaking hand off Tim. That's all you do, right? So that's where I'm probably most excited about him helping fill that void, is playing that wing back and then getting him some touches out of the backfield. And here's the thing. We're not saying you shelf Josh Jacobs. You guys know we're the biggest Josh Jacobs fans on the face of the planet. But how do you keep Josh Jacobs healthy? What if you go up by 10 points in a game? Throw Savion back there a little bit. Get him some touches. You've still got Marshawn Lloyd, who's going to get his first significant carries this year if he stays healthy. You got Emmanuel Wilson, who's arguably one of the best backup running backs in the league. The running game is going to be stout this year, Tim. We might just see more 12 personnel than we did last year.
I would agree. And I think situationally, if offensively we're in a situation where we do want to throw that swing pass, or we want to hit a quick screen, or, a flare to a running back or something out of the backfield, maybe you're right. Give Josh Jacobs a play off. Give Emmanuel Wilson or Marshawn Lloyd a play off and run that to Savion Williams and let him create with blockers in front of him. Can you imagine him catching a pass in the flat and having Tuck Norris out there blocking downfield in front of him? I mean, this is going to be incredible. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, 90.5 run grade for a wide receiver is absolutely insane. And I know it's a college grade. We haven't seen him against NFL talent yet, but I fully expect that, the dynamic portions of his game are just going to continue to get better as he develops, for sure.
Yeah. Coach Lynn says, yep, Wilson is legit. We might see more 21 personnel this year.
Ooh.
Could be the case.
Hey, and a great point by Coach, right? Because you certainly could put two running backs out there and one tight end, and one of your running backs is Savion Williams.
I'll take it a step further, Tim. Imagine this set. Imagine you coming out in your pony package, right? You coming out in your gun pony, and you break the huddle quick with 28 seconds on the play clock. You got plenty of time to make this happen. Imagine you come out in your pony package, double sidecar, and it's Josh Jacobs, and it's, let's say, Marshawn Lloyd in the backfield. Well, they read 21 personnel, okay? So they're in their base 4-3 or their base 34. And then as you go to line up in the pony, before you even get set, they go out wide and you're in an empty set, right? Yeah. So now, okay, everybody disperses. They cover the empty. And then you bring Savion into the backfield. What do? Do they bring a linebacker in to help play against the run? Or
right.
do they keep
they buzz the safety down?
If they're in man coverage, do they keep the linebackers out wide on the running backs and they bring a nickel back or a cornerback into the box? And now you hand the ball to Savion and run right through that cat's face. There's a number of different things you could do here, man. Really, really cool.
Absolutely. So, and let's not forget, if we're talking about Savion Williams out of the backfield, he can also stop and hum that tater about 40, 50 yards down the field in a pinch if you need him to, right?
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Now let's talk about the weaknesses here, okay? Listen, there's no perfect prospect, right? It's just, outside of 3 or 4 every draft, there's really – and some of those end up being busts as well. But let's kind of slow the hype a little bit, and let's talk about the realistic expectations, right? All right, let's be real. Savion Williams isn't a perfect prospect. There's a reason a guy with his traits was available in the 3rd round, and that's because his game needs some polish. Now, I will say Goody had a 2nd-round grade on him. So, yes, he fell to the 3rd round, and I'm a firm believer that your true value is if he was truly a 2nd-round pick, someone would have taken him in the 2nd round, right? But the fact that Goody had a 2nd-round grade on him, that's the same exact grade that he had. Actually, Christian Watson had a 1st-round grade, from what I understand. Jaden Reed had a 1st-round grade on him, too, from Goody. But 2nd, obviously, right there in the ballpark. So definitely something to kind of take into consideration there. There's a guy with traits was available in the 3rd round, and that's because his game needs some polish. The biggest knock from scouts is his route running. He's not yet a technician who's going to create clean separation on a full NFL route tree. He tends to rely on his massive frame and physicality to win rather than pure technique. Some scouts also pointed out his 2 inconsistent hands at times in college. But here's why that's not a deal breaker, especially not for the role he'll play this year. The Packers didn't draft him to be Devontae Adams on day one. They drafted him to be a weapon. His job at first won't be to win on a 15-yard comeback route. It will be to catch a screen and run someone over or take a handoff and get a tough 4 yards. He will also be asked to use his massive 6'4", 222 frame to block out of the wingback position the same way Watson did from time to time. This will allow LaFleur to use his entire playbook while Watson recovers. I repeat, you can still use those snaps, those plays, those specific formations that otherwise you would have had to taken out because Watson's hurt, right? You can plug Savion into that role right there and really key in on that on training camp, Tim. That's what you need to be looking for at training camp when you're over there this year. See if you ever see Savion in that wingback position, because I'm telling you, man, I think there'll be something brewing there. This will allow LaFleur to use his entire playbook while Watson recovers. Williams for the wingback role and Golden for the speed Z. So Golden out at speed Z and Savion in the wingback, you have Christian Watson still on your roster, in your lineup. Now, listen, I'm not saying that both of those guys together are better than Watson or even as good as Watson, but it allows you to continue to press into your playbook while Watson recovers. If he comes back in October, imagine getting him back at the end of October, early November. It's game on, man.
We're not replacing Scoot. You don't replace a guy like that. What you do is hope to fill the void until he can return, right? And then, like you said, imagine the return, and then you've got these dynamic playmakers that, Matt's got this whole, section of his playbook that he can open up now because you've got Christian Watson back in the fold plus your dynamic rookie receivers. So it's just important to remember that, you're not going to replace a guy. You're just hoping to, fill that void, get that production. Like you said, a Williams and a Golden will equal hopefully that production that you miss with Scoot being out for sure.
Yeah. Those are the things he's already proven he can do at a high level. Now, how much he develops the route running and improves on the drops will determine his ultimate ceiling. If he can become a more polished receiver, he has a legitimate number one wideout potential. But his floor as a versatile, physical mismatch player is already incredibly high and feels a massive need for this offense. All right, in conclusion, so is Savion Williams really the next Deebo Samuel? It's a bold comparison, but the blueprint is there. He has the same rare blend of receiving and rushing ability. He has that physical tackle-breaking run style, and most importantly, he lands in the perfect offense with a coach who knows exactly how to use a weapon like him. With Christian Watson sideline, the door is wide open for Williams to do more than just contribute. He could become a key part of the Packers' game plan right away. He's the wild card, the mismatch nightmare that's going to keep defensive coordinators guessing. While the first-round pick, Matthew Golden, might get the early headlines, don't be shocked if it's the third-round rookie, number 83, who makes the most unique and immediate impact. The Packers didn't just draft another receiver. They drafted a strategic weapon. They drafted an identity. Get ready to see Savion Williams making plays all over the field because the Deebo experiment in Green Bay is officially about to begin. So you guys, if this is your first time tuning in here at PTA, what do you think? Can Savion be that Deebo-level player for the Packers? More importantly, can he help fill half of that role that Christian Watson is leaving behind as he's rehabbing that ACL? Just drop your thoughts in the comments, and appreciate you swinging by here to the channel. Make sure you hit subscribe on your way out. Tim, anything else on the Savion Williams article, man?
No, I think that was great, man. Covered a lot of bases. And, I think we got to give props to Deebo Samuel, right? Kind of perfected that role in the modern NFL. And I don't know if you saw any tape on him recently. He looks a wee bit out of shape right now and a little past his prime. But, you can't deny the impact that he had on football in his prime. And,
no doubt.
That role in any offense makes you that much better. So I think it's a great point. Savion Williams is really going to be a treat in a Matt LaFleur offense for sure.
Yeah. Deebo's really, really close to eating himself out of the league.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite players of all time, Eddie Lacy.
Yep.
And it sounds silly, but that's a hard thing to keep under control, man. I make a joke all the time. Food's the only reason I don't do drugs. You know what I mean? Food is my drugs. I come from a long line of hard partiers in my family lineage. All the way, I'm talking about several generations. I'm just telling you right now, man. Anybody who eats their way out of the league, I relate. That would be this knucklehead right here. I'd be running around with three chins talking about, I played in the NFL for a half a season. So there you go.
Cheese curds and my stomach hurts all the time, but I do eat them though.
All right, man. I love it. Chris the Casual Man. I love Eddie Lacy. He loves Chinese food. Hey, that cracked me up when they asked. Y'all remember when they asked him that? And he's like, yeah, I love Chinese food. Like, that's sorry, just being honest.
Got that MSG cracking off for sure.
Exactly. All right, man. Let's do it, Tim. Let's jump into a little Savion Williams chalk talk. I'm excited about this, guys. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the tape from Savion Williams at TCU. You guys know the drill here. If the stream goes down, they detected copyright. It's the AI detecting it. The stream will come back up. However, if it goes down and you don't want to wait for it to come back up and fool with that, go over to Rumble or X. We're going to stay live there. We're going to try to stay live on YouTube, but this video will also be edited and uploaded later on YouTube as well. So if you're just watching that video and you're just now tuning in, thanks for joining into the party here and joining PTA Live. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We don't claim to be. We're fans just like you here talking Packers. If you like daily Packers content, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you get notified every time we go live, which is pretty much daily. We'll be giving you live training camp coverage as well. Tim, you ready to dive into this chalk talk, man?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right. We hit a little bit of this earlier in the year, but this is a fun breakdown, man. Hopefully you guys can get a little bit better visualization of what we're actually talking about here, okay? So we'll just roll it at 100, and I'll try to loop it if we can. So here you see him lining up at the Z nasty, okay? And what we mean by that, guys, real quick, anytime the receiver is inside the numbers, that's a nasty split. When you get outside the numbers, that's what you call a Baylor split, okay? So you see down here, that's our boy Savion Williams. They're in a 12-gun Z nasty. He's going to run a curl route, real simple. Just going to run a real fast curl route here. Bang. Ball was a little late coming out, but you see him secure the catch, go up top, absorb a hit, right? And, Tim, these are the things that we're talking about. We talked about him being a weapon out of the backfield, but there are times that he can use that 6'4" frame and secure possession catches like that, man. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Big target.
Yeah. So, again, there he is playing Z. One of the most important things, guys, is to understand where he's lining up and the versatility, okay? That's kind of the reason we're doing this, is how will he fit into the Packers scheme, right? Here we are in 11 gun. He's wing left. This is what we were talking about with Christian Watson, right? So here he is playing the wing left position. Now he's going to cheat to stack, all right? And what that means is he's going to motion outside here with a cheat motion to a stack set, one receiver right in front of the other. So even though they're in a technical 11 personnel right here, Tim, it almost looks like it's 21 personnel, because if you treat Savion as a running back, you would call it 21. However, they're probably treating him as a receiver here in this position. So again, he's going to run a cheat to stack, and once again, once the route he's going to run, it's going to be a curl. He's going to cheat the stack, they'll snap it, and he's going to sit down out here. A little bit of hesitation on getting him the ball, but another nice little catch, and going to try to fight for a couple extra yards here. You'll see how hard it is to bring him down, right? Probably more of a hit than a curl, but he's just lowering his head and trying to run through people for 2 or 3 yards. So, all right, next play, we're in a 12 gun. He's going to be playing X out of the twin left. When we say twin left, 2 wide receivers to the left, it's 12 personnel because there's 1 running back, 2 tight ends, okay? That's 1 running back, 2 tight ends. That's why we call it 12 personnel. It equals 2 wide receiver sets. So, again, he's playing X on this particular down here. Now, what's going to happen is this guy's going to come out on a quick little bubble or a flat, and what you're going to notice, he's going to crack back. So Savion is going to crack back block on this corner. So here's a little bit of the physicality to his game, all right? What you come in, bang. Put the dude on his keister, get a little one-on-one opportunity outside for his receiver. Tim,
this was a big question, right? Can he block? Can he block? Here's an example. I think he can.
Yeah. And the timing on this too, Tim, he's so close to getting offensive pass interference, but perfect timing, making it. I mean, it's a nice crackback. It's more design than anything. But again, when you're talking about him playing the wing back position, you want to see, can he be physical enough to play wing back? I think he can. So,
yep, I agree. And I think he did a good job there. If you watch that, he did a good job of selling a route, and then kind of getting little after the play, the contact, put the arms up, make it look inadvertent. I love it.
Yep, exactly. That poor corner didn't know what hit him there, man.
Oh, yeah. He got popped.
All right, up next, we got a 12-gun stack right. He's going to go cheat left touch, okay? So let's talk about what it means. So, again, they love those stack looks down there in at Texas Christian. Now, again, they're nasty split inside the numbers, okay? So it's going to be kind of a twin stack right look, and we're going cheat left touch pass. So what's going to happen is he's going to cheat over, and they're just going to toss the ball to him on a touch pass, shovel pass, whatever you want to call it. And I want you to watch how he runs between the bodies here, okay? Notice how comfortable he is in traffic, Tim. There's the touch pass. Look at him get skinny in that hole right there, man.
Unbelievable.
And you're seeing some of that versatility, or some of that versatility in terms of the speed too. Watch him hit this hole. That's a tiny little gap right there, man. He just gets skinny on the play.
Reminds me of someone else that we've seen several times in the last year doing that, Josh Jacobs, the way he's able to just get skinny in traffic and then explode. You're seeing it right here with a young receiver that clearly has versatile talent. I love it.
And I'll tell you, somebody else it reminds me of is Christian Watson his rookie year. How many times have we used that touch pass with Christian Watson?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And all you got to do is, like you see on this tape here, if your O-line or your tight end can seal that first or second block there, give you just enough room to slip through, the speed and the athleticism will do the rest. You're seeing it right here.
Yeah, really, really excited to see him do this very thing right here to give these other receivers a little bit of a breather as well, man. This is a great view right here. This is an even better view, Tim. Look at this.
Yep.
Look how tiny that hole is, man. You kidding me? Look at that right there. Like, I don't even know how he fit through there, especially with his frame. But
number 4 with the crucial block, though. Watch 4 here. That's everything.
Yep. Just seal it off just enough, right?
Yep, just enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful play. And you see the foot speed too, man. And again, watch how he finishes the run. This is the physicality we're talking about. Corners are not going to want to tackle him. Watch the end, Tim. Bang.
Oh, yeah. Lower the shoulder.
2 minutes.
I don't care if it gets me another yard and a half. It doesn't matter. It's a game of inches. We'll take everything we can get, right?
Exactly. All right. Now we're in 11 gun. He's going to be playing wing left right here, okay? So you see the yellow arrow, right? So he's going to be playing wing left. He's going to run a wheel route here. This is really, really cool design. I think they fake a toss to the left. So he's playing wing. What we talked about, Christian Watson plays a lot in our offense. So here's what we mean by our wheel route. He's just going to kind of roll out after the ball snapped and run a little wheel route out of the backfield. Pretty sure this was the contested catch. Look at this. This is just unbelievable. Double coverage. This is the contested catch rate that we talked about. I'm going to give you a little bit better angle here, Tim. Look at this play. So you see him in the wing, right? You got Savion right here. Watch this contested catch. I think there's a TV copy, too, that's just unbelievable. Look at this.
Wow.
Yeah. People that say he can't catch, look at this right here. Look at that. But somebody come look at this. Let's take it down to 70.
It's ground up, though. Look at him from the waist down before he makes this play. And you watch the feet. You see him drag and then contort his body. I mean, it's all before he even leaves his feet. That's how he makes that catch. If he doesn't make that play, it's a pick in the end zone.
Yeah, right. All right. And again, man, just perfect timing, high points the ball, great body control, everything. It'd be real easy to put your arm out and try to push one of those defenders. No, just stays technically sound, goes up, and makes the catch. As Sixes says in the chat, Watson-esque. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's little glimpses of Christian Watson's game in him. There really is. So,
I agree.
Very, very excited about that. All right, moving along now. Actually, here's a slow motion view of it one last time. What a great play, man.
Just imagine these type of looks when he's getting, NFL quality balls from Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible.
Now, remember, one of the negative aspects of his game is the unpolished route running, right? You're not going to believe that after you see this route right here. But again, you got to see it more consistently. Nobody's expecting him to be Devontae Adams, but on this particular set, 11 gun bunch nasty X. Guess who X is? Savion. So we've seen him play the Z. We've seen him play the wing. We've seen him play the wing cheat out stack. We've seen him play the stack cheat motion in for the touch pass. Now we're seeing him play nasty X, okay, that condensed split X on the line of scrimmage opposite the tight end, right? And it's basically going to be a jab and go. This route right here, hold on to your britches, boys. This is pretty. Watch him jab out and just turn in a little go route. Bang.
Oh, my God. Cooked.
Yeah.
And again, terrible ball, right? Now imagine a better ball on a play like that. He's walking into the end zone.
And he still makes the catch on the errant throw.
Yeah, behind him. he's breaking to his right. The ball's on his left hip. He's got to turn backwards to catch it, and he's making the play still.
Yeah.
Jordan's going to put that ball right on the numbers, man.
Yeah. 2-0 for this in the chat says, I wanted Besh, but I'm getting more excited for Savion. You described me to a T. 2-0 for this. I wanted Besh too, but the more you watch the tape, it's like you at least see what Goody saw, right? You can kind of get a little bit of the vision, as Ryan Schlip likes to say. So yeah, let's see if we get a better angle here. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, like, as we watch this TCU tape again, this is probably I don't know, my third or fourth time through some Savion Williams tape. You see why we drafted him. It's not even just, his attributes and what, he brings to the table. It's also the fact that, like, what are we, 5-6 plays into this film study? I mean, this looks like our offense. I mean, this is what we ask our guys to do. And you don't want to put a square peg into a round hole, right? So you want to draft a guy that's going to fit the mold for what you're trying to do. And I think, as good a receiver as Jack Besh is, I think Savion was clearly the better choice here. And again, tip your cap to our GM. Thank you, Goody.
Yeah. Coach Lynn in the chat said he called it a bang post route is what they call it. We call it a jab and go. Read the leverage. You can fade it out if you need to, or you could turn it into a skinny post. But like he said, he called it a bang post route. Good stuff there. Coach, he also made a great point here, Tim. He says, you can do more with Williams than you can with Besh.
Exactly.
So true. So
exactly.
True. Besh has better hands. There's no doubt about it. Probably a more polished route runner, but he's got more. Savion Williams got more tools in the bag in terms of.
Definitely. I think he's probably more dynamic, right? Besh is probably your typical possession type of receiver, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Up next, you got 11 gun Trey Wright. Now he's playing boundary X. And this is going to be a mesh spot, a little shallow cross here, okay? And just wanted to show the lineup, okay? Again, he's in the boundary X. Why is it boundary? Boundary is the short side of the field, guys. So notice this is the short side of the field. That's what you refer to as the boundary. This is referred to as the field. Most people, when they're breaking down college tape, and Coach Lynn may attest to this, they don't even look at it from a standpoint of he's playing X, he's playing Z, he's playing Y. They look at it, he's going to be the boundary receiver. He's going to be the field receiver, right? That's typically how they talk. I like to mention where the boundary is, but still identify the X, the Z, all of those things. So he's definitely, in this case right here, the reason he's the X, he's on the line of scrimmage opposite the tight end. And once again, he's in a nasty split, and he's on the short side of the field. So that's why we say 11 gun, Trey Wright. Trey Wright is 3 targets on one side of the field to the right, one of which is a tight end that's attached. That's what we call Trey Wright. Boundary X is his spot, and they're going to run a little mesh spot route here, okay? And look, notice how the guy sits right there on the spot, kind of sits down, and he's running the shallow cross. Go ahead, Tim.
Cover 2 man. Is that what they're in? I'm trying to see.
Let's see here. It's kind of hard to see, too, on this copy. Let's see if they're in zone or man. Watch the corner that's lined up over him, see if he follows. He does not. They're in zone.
Okay,
so to me, Tim, and it's kind of hard because there's different triggers for these. This looks like cover 6 to me. Okay, it looks like quarter, half. So that looks like it's cover 6 to me. Could be wrong though. And then again, you get into match principles and things like that. But the whole purpose of this play design though here, and we run a lot of mesh and spot together. So you're going to have the tight end is going to come up here and try to rub, and he's going to kind of sit down. And, of course, if this guy breaks inside, he'll probably turn it into a climb. And then you're looking at Savion running a shallow cross here. Again, there's nothing spectacular about this specific play other than I wanted to show, once again, he's in the boundary X, and now you're seeing him on a shallow cross. That's something he could do right out of the gate week 1 of the NFL. So, and right there, though, his ability to absorb that hit and still pick up another 3 yards is huge. That's what we're talking about right there. He just has a special knack to stay on his feet. So,
and you see the route running discipline too, how he stays, he doesn't get too flat. He doesn't get too wide, stays on his line. It looks like that was almost meant to be a rub, but the defense kind of backed off and he found himself running free there, and just a great catch and protect the football. You got to love it. I
think that's exactly what it was. We got Atheist for because in the chat says core balance. Great point there, man. Great point. He said he's anti-Musgrave. All right, now let's calm down with the Musgrave shot. We all agree Well, let's calm down with the Musgrave shots. All right. Next, you got 11 gun Trey left to Dubs Nasty Z. All right. It's going to be a little short dig here. So what they're doing is they came out in a Trey left look. All right. Which right here, and they actually had a wing back. I'm assuming that's a tight end. If it's a receiver, you call it trips left with obviously the number 3 would be playing the Z position, but they're going to shift the Dubs, which is just basically a 2x2 set. When you hear us say Dubs, it's short for doubles, which is 2x2 look here. Okay. And once again, you see Savion is playing the nasty Z, that nasty split inside the numbers. And he's just going to run a little short dig here, Tim. And you got to just kind of find the right depth, right? You know, a normal dig will be out here, right? And what you're going to notice with Savion is he's just trying to find the proper depth. He gets somewhere right in here, if I remember correctly, but a little bit shorter than like your typical 10 to 13-yard dig. Just going to get inside here. And you notice there's not a whole lot of space there, but he trusts him. And again, the quarterback trusts Savion. And if you'll notice the hands catch here, he's got a hand in his face, Tim. It's a tough catch to make right there.
He had a hand on his chest right here. There's a hold outside 5 yards, no call. So great job by Savion here. You can tell, and this is what we talk about, right? Not only does he have these athletic traits and clearly has some good FBI, but he's a physical receiver, and that's what you need if you're going to play this type of role, right?
Completely agree, man. All right, so there you see him in another nasty split, just running kind of a shallow dig. All right, now let's move along to the next play. Now, this we just kind of caught the tail end of it here. This was a zone read where the quarterback was reading the end kind of squared up, so he just hands it off to Savion. Watch Savion out of the backfield. These are the things he can do right out of the gate year one, right? But again, man, talking about having the speed and the agility, he's going to change directions and take it all the way across the formation and turn make chicken salad out of chicken you know what.
Yep.
Right?
And I guess, hey, you know, when you're this fast, I guess you're not worried about getting that ball to your outside hand.
Just showing that burst. Now, here he is on a bubble screen, right? It looks like a bubble. Let's see if he was actually out wide. Kind of hard to see. He may have actually been coming in, probably out of that wing set, to be honest with you, Tim.
I was going to say wing or slot, right?
Yeah. So with a bubble screen, guys, what you're looking at, you got these guys out here blocking. And typically with a bubble is you just kind of go backwards a touch, and you're looking to catch the ball with momentum out of the back. Ability to run through on the end of this video, you'll be able to see. You can click right on the screen for the Savion breakdown. You should see it in there. So, all right, now let's see. Tim, where's he at? You spot him yet?
Looks like he's playing quarterback.
Look at our guy right here in the backfield playing QB. I'm assuming that's the quarterback. Looks like a little kid out here. So that's the actual quarterback.
Look, notice how nobody's covering him in the slot. They're not worried about him.
So check this out. We're going to do a little fake pitch back to the quarterback, and look at Savion picking up. What do you get? 15 yards, 5 after contact. Again, a little fake.
Look at him looking like a young Lamar Jackson out there.
Look at the cut back inside. Whoop. Great job. And again, let's watch where the contact first happens. All right. Right here. Right. Got a guy clipping at his knees. So
yep.
He picked up an extra 6 yards.
4 guys to bring him down.
Yeah. Excellent play, man. Again, that's what you're getting. That
threat in that situation, right? He's a threat to throw the ball. He's a threat to run the ball. And that's going to keep a defense guessing.
Now, you remember when I talked about in the article earlier how you could run a T-post, right? You can literally run a post route out of the backfield. It's almost like a skinny or, you know, like an angle route. You do this, right, Tim? But with the post, you can kind of get out here, skinny that thing off, and hit the seam, right? Yep. And again, he's a wide receiver. If they come out, let's just assume that this is a running back. So you actually showed 11 personnel. So they matched it with a nickel 4-2-5. Let's just say it's a nickel set, right? So then they put Savion, a wide receiver, in the backfield. They've got to make a decision. Do we put a corner on him or do we put a linebacker? In this case, they chose a linebacker. Look at the mismatch it creates right here. This T left, and he's just going to take the seam, and the backer has no.
It does not matter.
Right. And again, look at the front naked through the trailer park.
I'll call the cops.
But I wonder if anybody ever gets that.
Oh yeah, that we're going to take the ball and we're going to score that game. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Look what Greg Rice says here too. At 4.48 in a 40, I don't know how he runs away from all the DBs. It's something called game speed, Greg, is what it is. I'm telling you, man. The 40-yard dash, it's a great metric. It's something you can kind of compare across the board. But there are some guys, there's two things, right? Do they have the endurance? Do they have the strength, the body strength, the leg strength to run the same amount of speed, the same level of speed in full pads and a helmet? But also it's stride length. That's something I learned from Greg Cosell. Never even thought about it. But stride length plays a huge role. And when you got a 6'4" frame, you got long legs, you got stride length. There's no doubt about it.
You see that with Tuck Norris all the time, right?
Yeah,
you talk about stride length, So true.
Yep, as Holmes said, football speed's very different. Completely agree, man. Completely agree.
And there's a big difference between being quick and being fast, right?
Yeah. So here is a Wildcat. We're going to go QB power right, Tim. I believe they got a couple of linemen pulling here, but this is one of my favorite clips of Savion Williams. So this is him out of the backfield, Wildcat, couple offensive line pulling. Look at him get in trouble right here. Look at this.
Yep.
Look at him hitting the B button.
You just have patience, wait for that seam. Look, steps inside and explodes, and he's gone.
Yeah. And again, man, spin move.
Looking for that teammate. You'll see it right here. I think it's right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people would panic right there. You just stay patient.
Yeah, you just stay patient. You can almost.
We've shown you everything, right? We've shown you Z. We've shown you X. We showed you touch passes. We showed getting the ball out of the backfield. We showed Wildcat reps. We showed him running a skinny post, essentially, from the T position out of the backfield for 6. We showed, a number of different things. What about his jump ball skills? We seen one earlier, right? Look at this back shoulder throw here, okay? This is a back shoulder fade. He's actually playing field X. So he's up here on the field side. Once again, what's field side mean? It's the large side of the field. So now they got him out wide up here, singled up, all right? Look at this back shoulder. Look at our boy. Little subtle push off, back shoulder. Bang.
That might have been the best damn ball he got all year.
Right. But again, nothing fancy, just makes it happen, right?
You know what I love too is you see the quarterback as soon as he catches that snap, he's looking right at Savion the whole time. There was no progression read or nothing. He knew where he was going with that ball.
Yeah. AFAM in the chat says Emilio plays grass mower simulator. All right, so I think this is the last play. This is just a jump ball. Look at our boy on this play right here. Watch him go up, high point. Look at that grab, dude.
F it, Williams down there somewhere.
This is a great camera right here. We'll end it with this. It doesn't get any better than this. Just subtle push off, bang.
And again, great. AFAM once again will appreciate the officiating comment here. Great no call. Contact from the DB, contact from the receiver, little pushing, right? Little grab, little push.
Got him by the jersey, you're right.
Yep. So it's both ways. Sometimes the best call is no call and just let them play.
Yep. Yeah. Like Coach Lynn says, great upper body strength, man. Love
you see eyes on the football the whole time. Look at the head around immediately. Mm-hmm. Like he's hand fighting, moving his feet, but his eye is on that football the whole way.
AFAM said that's a big push off. What about this, AFAM? You ain't mentioning this. What's that right there, huh?
That's not inside 5 yards. Come on now.
It's like back in the day when you go out there to play street hoops. You get out in the backyard or in the back alley playing street hoops, and it's
no blood, no foul, baby.
Hey, we can body up. I'm good. We're good with it. We can body up. We can play rough, but you better not call a foul if you're playing rough. We're either doing this or we ain't, right? He grabs the jersey. Okay, cool. Let's give him a little shove off right here.
Yep.
Good hands. Great play.
And I would anticipate if there wasn't a grab by the DB prior, like right here, then maybe that push off gets called, right? But you got to call it both ways. I think it's a good no call.
Yeah.
And we get a great highlight for Savion's tape here. So I love it.
Yeah. There you go, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Savion Williams Chalk Talk. So hopefully, if you were here, we had a bunch of people in here tonight, man. We can't thank y'all enough. If you would hit that like button if it's your first time here, subscribe to the channel. We go live pretty much daily. We'll be giving you all the training camp coverage. We're giving you coverage during the season, pre-game, post-game shows, the whole 9 yards. Hopefully the article, we kind of laid out a bunch of details of the strengths of his game, some of the weaknesses as well. how Matt LaFleur can utilize him and help absorb some of that role that's going to be lost with Christian Watson being on the IR probably till November. And Matthew Golden playing the speed Z aspect of what Christian Watson does, mainly in the 12 personnel, to be honest with you. And then, of course, when you want to go in with a wide receiver at wing back, you can do that with Savion if you go that route. So hopefully that all kind of tied together and connected the dots for everyone. So anything else, Tim? Let's get out of here, man. It's late and I got to go save my marriage.
No, do your thing, man. This was great. Glad we got to do Savion Williams Chalk Talk, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a blast. So, guys, if you want to support what we do here at Packers Total Access, you can join our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything in there, all the chats. We're going to get our fantasy league crank back up this year. We may run 2 leagues this year. There's buy-in for that and big prizes that come out of that as well. I'll probably sweeten the pot with some autograph cards as well to kind of throw to the winners in that regard as well. So anything you want in terms of extra content, you can find it over at our Patreon group. Now, if you don't have Patreon, you're like, hey, man, I'd love to support this stupid little show. Just hit that join tab right at the bottom or below this video on YouTube. You can join, be a member there, get custom emojis, all that good stuff, and also get you entered into the giveaway. So anyone who's a member of the $3 tier in Patreon, anybody who is a member on YouTube, we put everybody's name on a wheel and spin that and give away prizes, not just through the off season, but definitely through the regular season. It gets real fun in here. So there you go. Sure. Everybody in the chat, thank you all so much, man. It's nice to be able to adjust the screen, Tim, where I can see the chat while we're doing Chalk Talk and just give input from people that are in the chat. Y'all are the lifeblood of what we do, along with everybody who's listening to this on podcast form. Hopefully, we painted you enough of a visual on the podcast that you got a better idea of, hey, here's what Savion Williams is, the pros, the cons, what he needs to work on, how we may or may not use him in terms of deployment there in Matt LaFleur's offense. So, Tim, appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Clay.
All right, man. Everybody have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.